share it with those who are not fortunate enough to be here. All right, everyone can hear me? So I see only one person. Zhenya, can you hear me? Good, okay, so it seems like the sound is working and everybody else. Estefania, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
All right, well, I assume everybody else can too. So, all right, there are a few things that I wanted to discuss today. One, I wanted to hear a little bit from you in terms of what you've tried so far, how's it going, frustrations, successes. I've heard a number of stories already, and so some of them are positive, some of them are full of challenges, and so it would be interesting to see where you guys stand. And then also in the discussion yesterday, some interesting ideas emerged. Nothing super new, I mean, kind of natural and, you know, something that in some form had been discussed before, but yesterday it was articulated more clearly, and I wanted to hear your input on that and see what you think about that, and especially how we take them forward. And so let's do quickly first, turn the microphone to you and hear what you have to say so far. And I'll just give you a very quick summary from what I've heard so far from the people yesterday and in private conversations. So some Reds, I guess we'll call them that way, so have had a positive experience. They spoke to a number of schools and the response was positive. Especially when they talk to private schools that do not have to go through the cycles of bureaucracy or circles of bureaucracy, and once they like the idea, they can implement it right away. And so they were the only problem or challenge that they encountered was that we are almost at the Christmas break, and so the response was, it's very interesting, we think we would like to participate, let's talk about it more after the break. Then on the other extreme, there were stories like this one. For example, I would go to a school, I would try to talk to them, and they don't first understand what am I trying to to offer them. Then eventually they look at me as if I'm trying to sell them something, as if I'm a traveling sales agent, and so that wasn't very comfortable and not very effective. And there was even one story where one of our Reds scheduled a meeting at a school. They said, sure, we'll allocate some space and tell our teachers about this meeting, and you'll be able to talk to them. And so made it voluntary for the teachers, and then he comes and waits for the meeting, but none of the teachers show up. And so that was also a little depressing. So, and then everything in between. So some people also talked to individuals and saw some positive responses. Some people spoke to like, for example, the very good stories came from one lady here in the United States who started talking to homeschooling organizations, and the response is quite positive. So that's not a school, that's parents who teach their children from home. In some cases, that's because the children are not able to go to school, and in some cases, those would be talented children for whom school is too slow, and so they study from home and move much faster, gifted children, and in some cases just simply parents' preferences. So they believe that they can teach their children better at home. But in all of those cases, children do lack some contact with peers, and so a project like ours allows them to fill that void, and at least to some extent, it does help their program, and there was some interest. Likewise, ESL programs, English as a second language. So we have one actually coach who decided to join our team on the X-Culture Academy side. But even before she did, she went and looked for English as a second language organizations. And apparently there are quite a few of them, and some of them are very big, in fact, international. So they would have offices all around the world. And so she found contacts for a few dozen of them and started contacting them, and it seems like there is general interest. So they see it as an opportunity to practice English in a real, basically, business environment. So those are the stories I've heard so far. I'm curious to hear what you have experienced so far, what you have to say. Who wants to go first? And by the way, there are a few stories also where people say, I haven't done anything. So I haven't quite, my semester was not over. I was kind of building up the courage to do something. So I only have been doing some thinking so far, but haven't tried anything. So nothing to report, which is, I suppose, fine too. How about you guys? Have you, what are your thoughts, observations so far? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, maybe I will go first. I would say some few words what I did and my thoughts about that. First, I did some brochures and went to schools in my hometown, distributed them, have had the talks with teachers, um, and sent some brochures to another cities because I have no time now to go there. And also I started a Facebook page, but I will say about that a little bit later. What I did, I did, and I saw that it's not working is emails. I've found tens and hundreds of emails via internet of schools of different educational centers, and sent near 140 mails, and as a result is no one answered them. No one.
So talking about emails, can I ask you one thing? So in Ukraine, you've been able to find the generic emails for the school, right? So those are not personal email addresses for the teachers.
No, that's not personal. That's only schools.
Yeah. I wonder, again, I don't really believe in emails, or at least not as much, because again, there are too many of them coming in, and if it's a generic email address, more likely than not, somebody checks them who receives tons of advertisement anyway, and so she probably misses them. In the United States, and I suppose that's the case for some other countries, the school district creates a kind of corporate email for every teacher, just like a professor has one. And those are also possible to find. And I wonder if it would be more successful, the email campaign, if we tried to email teachers directly. The big challenge there is that not all teachers would be suitable for this idea. Like if a teacher teaches math, for example, or I don't know, dance or whatever other subjects are, history. So it is not a fact that it would even be relevant to that teacher, and it's not always easy to figure out which one would be the relevant teacher. And I'm not even sure if it's possible to get the email addresses of the teachers on the website. Possibly, but I would not be surprised if they're not readily available. But yes, if we do emails, that may be a more successful approach, or find emails, personal emails for the principals. Again, address them by name,
maybe so.
Smith. But then again, how do you find them, and do they even exist in some countries? I mean, private, yes, but you can't find those, but other corporate emails.
You see, we have different situation in Ukraine, so you won't find a lot of mails, like personal mails of teachers. So that won't work. So maybe it will work like a support of other activities, like of presentations, and after the presentation you can send some or after talks or sort of that.
Follow up,
Okay, the next one is maybe I'll say about the Facebook page, because actually some of Reds were asking me about that, and I would say that it's why I started the Facebook page, because I wanted this one in Ukrainian language to make a wider possibility for people to approach, to see the first information about X culture, and to post some information, some things that wouldn't be posted in major X culture page in the Facebook. And if maybe some of you are thinking if it's good or bad to start the Facebook page, I would say that first of all, it's work. Like, you need some time to do that. You need post different things. You need to interact with people, and so on and so on. But it will work if you need to spread information in your language, like not only in English, but you have like Ukrainian, you have Lithuanian, you have Latvian, and so on and so on in different countries. So maybe this will work because of that, and also because of different cultural things. Like you won't post that message in your page in Facebook, but another things will work better. So it depends, and you can try it, but that's a lot of work, I can say. And next thing I would like to mention, it's giveaway. I did sort of giveaway, and it's in 2 days it will end, and some of the winners will get books. It's 3 books on business, on entrepreneurship, and sort of that. It helps to have a lot of more interaction in the page, and to have more different people to involve to the page, not only my friends or colleagues or etc. And another thing is I drafted an event, like it will be in 2 days also. It's about X-culture, about globalization, and so on and so on. And the main person who will attach this is Vas, actually. It will be sort of, how to say it, Skype conference. We'll gather people in my hometown, and on the other side will be Vas. He will say some what is happening now in US, in the world, and
self-advertisement. So we will not talk only about X-Culture Academy. We'll talk about globalization and other things, but then we'll mention it in the,
Yeah, and that's basically it. Also, I posted few posts in different Facebook groups and in some sites where you can find grants, trainings, information, and so on. That's basically it.
Well, first of all, it's a lot of work, so thank you so much. If I may, I'd like to, before we get to the next person, you raised a number of interesting topics, and I would like to briefly talk about some of them. One, when it comes to Facebook and presence online in general. I believe I told you at some point that I'm an avid audiobook listener. So I listen to books on tape, or I guess now on the phone. But once in a while, I come across a book that is so filled with practical, actionable advice that it is almost impossible to listen to it, because you have to pause every 10 seconds, stop, and write down notes. And so with those books, you have to get a hard copy and then work with it as a reference. So there have been 3 books like this, and I got 3 of those books, and so that's one of them. As you can see, I have all those, notes and things. And so one of those books is called Platform, and it's about basically how to establish your presence online. So how to become more noticed when you have thousands and thousands of other pages that compete for the attention of the people. And so this one is an extremely, extremely useful guide. I mean, literally my jaw dropped. You think, you know how Facebook works and things like that. And then you start reading this stuff and like, whoa, like it's a whole science behind it. And you never knew that, it exists. And so I'm trying to think how to give you this book. I have it in electronic format, like PDF format, that I'd be happy to share with you. The only question is ethics. I'm not sure if we are supposed to. At the same time, it's probably not that expensive. I don't know, here in the United States, it must be about $20. I suspect in other countries it's cheaper. So maybe I should just simply allow you to buy it and cover the cost. But in any case, if you wanted to do anything online, Instagram, Facebook, blogging, video blogs, simply, posting things, Twitter, like this is the Bible. It's 2016 edition, so maybe in 3 years it will be outdated, but for now it's still very relevant. And as I said, unlike other books that tell you how things work and, some interesting stories from history, this one, no. Like step by step, this is what you do. This is the plugin you get. This is the type of the message you post, like extremely practical. So basically step by step guide. And so I guess maybe what I'll do is I'll post the PDF version here in our group so you can download and start reading it. And then if you like it and you find that it's worthwhile your time, I'll buy you your own copy, electronic, on Amazon, or whichever other way we can get it. So that's on the online presence. As I said, there is much, much more to it than at least what I knew. And I was very surprised how little, like until you start seeing what other people do, you don't even know how little you know. Second, emails. So we talked about emails and how they don't really work. I wonder if anyone tried paper mails. What I think is if we send out, like hard copy mails, especially if they are addressed to the principal itself, himself, herself, dear Mr. Such and Such, if it's, doesn't look like advertisement, so we don't format it as, colorful, nice brochure, but as a personal letter. So basically, text only on a stationery and maybe add a brochure. I wonder if that will work better. So I suppose these days people don't receive many hard copy letters. And so if it's done right, maybe the response will be better. Obviously, it will cost, I don't know, depending on the country. Here in the United States, the postage now is like 50 cents, I guess. So with the paper and envelope and everything, let's say it's going to be $1 a copy. But I suppose the response rate will be much higher than the emails. And so it may be something that may be worthwhile trying. So literally just get, the addresses of all the schools in your city, for example, get the names of the principals, which I assume is possible to get, and just simply send them there. So I wonder if that would work better. But anyway, some comments just wanted to address. Who goes next? Stefania, go ahead. Just don't forget to, I unmuted you, so you should be good. It doesn't allow me to unmute, so I guess you need to unmute. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, I sent you a couple of emails. I don't know if you got them.
Did you send them to my email address or to exec@xculture.org?
To yours.
I thought I responded, but maybe if it's something older, maybe, well, I'll figure that out, but I don't see any left. So I think I may have responded within the last day or two. But anyway, yes. Would you remind us what it was about? And maybe let's talk about that now.
So, okay. It was like in my case in particular. Mm-hmm. Well, I talked to some schools, mm-hmm. Especially to there's this man that he is a part of, he's not a part of only one school, but multiple schools in Medellin. So I had a meeting with him because he was here in Miami. Mm-hmm. He's actually the father of one of my friends, like a close friend. So I had a meeting with him. He really liked it. He was very interested. And he said he was going to present it to a university in Colombia. And then from there, he would know if it was worth it, going to the other schools. Also, there's one school that's French. Mm-hmm. And he said that school is worldwide. So a possibility, it could be not only doing it in Medellin, but in all the schools that they have around the world.
Right. Yeah, no, that's very good, and that's the right direction to go. Yes. Okay. Go, anything else?
Yes. So he really liked it. He asked me so many questions. He looked very interested. But he did say that it was gonna be, because he asked me, so how are you thinking of doing this? And I said, well, I was fortunate enough to have you here in person. He said, yes, I think these type of meetings are better to do them in person, because I told him I'm planning to do everything online, via video conferences. And he said, well, I think personally that the first encounter would be good to do the video conferences. But then afterwards, I think it would be so much better if you did them personally.
Yeah. And that is a big challenge. Obviously you can have some meetings in personal if it's right where you live, but if it's farther away, at some point it becomes, prohibitively expensive and difficult to organize.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So again, I have a few comments. I'll get to that in a few minutes. Anyone else wants to share some comments? Yeah.
Oh, I also
go ahead. Yes.
Another concern that came up, not for him, from a parent, was that she had a 9-year-old, and she said that she was concerned about her child being in contact with other people because she thought that she was still very young to do this.
So she was in general interested but didn't know how it would work, or she just was saying that in general it's a bad idea?
No, she said that she loved the idea, but she wouldn't let her child of 9 years do it yet. She would let her do it in the future.
That is and I probably can comment on that right away. So yes, we have here a challenge of age and legal age and the need of the children going online. I suppose I personally believe that it shouldn't be a problem because, first of all, their contacts will not be shared with anyone other than the members of their own team. The parents, I assume, for the younger children will be closely supervising the whole process and probably will have to do much of the work themselves. At the same time, I do have some doubts as well how ready those children are. My children are 10 and 13, so the one who is 13 is definitely fully capable of managing it without even my intervention. So in fact, he's involved in a number of groups around video gaming and stuff, and so he seems to be fully capable of communicating with those people, streaming, commenting, and stuff like that. The younger one, I'm not sure. She probably could do it, and as long as I help her, she probably will be fine. She does have an email address anyway, and she texts all the time with the friends. So, but at the same time, I don't know. I will not be surprised if it turns out that it only works for children that are more like 13 and up, just because, the parents may not be comfortable. The children probably will require too much guidance. It may be too difficult for them. Will not be surprised if some children will, kind of lose interest in the middle of the project. And for that, we'll have this kind of pre-project training and exam phase. And I'm kind of hoping that most of them will drop out at that stage if they're not ready. And so those who will pass that stage will be fine and will stay for the whole project. But again, I guess here we'll have to try. So we may see that either nobody signs up such young children, or people do sign them up and it doesn't work. In both cases, I guess we'll have to change the age requirement. Or we may see that it actually works, maybe not for everyone, but for some. And in that case, we may keep it maybe with a small group, but we'll see how it goes. So,
right.
Yeah, I have no. What's your prediction, Stephanie? Do you think it will work, like for the younger children?
I think it will work as long as the parents allow them to participate.
Yeah. We have Zhenya here from Ukraine, so he has worked a lot with children. Your kids are like what, 6 to 9 or 12 kid IT? They're probably
from 5 to 12.
5 to 12. So they work with very small kids, and it's basically like a essentially a school for coding, or not a school, but regular meetings, and they do it as a club or face-to-face environment. And so I assume the parents are there all the time, right? So the parents come and stay with the children, and so it seems like they're fully capable of solving the tasks. But there, it's more of a kind of the children come as if to school, or even more like after-school activities. So do you think it will work? What we are trying to do will work for children like 9 and up, or are we going too low in terms of?
Actually, I think as it was mentioned in all information inside and etc., we can try for this season, for this semester. But as for me, it would be better to have like kids since 10 or 11.
Yeah, I want to see again the applications, but I personally almost leaning towards going with teens, 13 to whatever the age. First, from the marketing perspective, it will be easier because one of the problems we ran into as I was trying to create all those brochures and videos and stuff, how do you refer to them? And so we have such a wide age gap that first, there is no single word for this. You can't call kids because the older ones are not kids anymore. You can't call them teenagers because we kind of go beyond or below teen age. And so I thought if we went with teens, in that case, it would be clear what age we're talking about. And it would be probably, the older ones are probably going to be more prepared anyway, so it's not affected. It will work for younger children. So if I had to choose the age group, I would just say teens, like 13 and up, just because, as I said, it solves a lot of kind of logistical problems. But then again, maybe there will be enough demand from the younger ones, and so we don't want to explode them.
Maybe we'll try this one, and then we'll see.
Yeah, let's do that. Cintin, yes, Stephanie, and then back to Cintin, yeah.
Sorry, I just have another concern, but this one applies for me in particular. I don't know if for anyone else, is that most of the schools in Colombia right now are going on vacation.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not just the kids, it's also like the teachers and principals.
Yes, I actually would like to make a comment about that, and I did send an email. So even though you do it on, kind of as a partner or, not as an employee per se, but still it's your time and it's your compensation. And so one thing we didn't plan on was that, the winter break will come basically right after we start the project. And so the timing is unfortunate, and I wish we started earlier. At the same time, it looks like most of the schools will not be quite ready to sign up for the spring semester, and they will be signing up for the summer or the fall semester. So from this perspective, we didn't start late. We started, with enough time in advance, just not for the semester we thought. So what I mean is that even if we started a month or two earlier, it would have been, or potentially could have been still too early for this semester. But in any case, so to make sure that your effort doesn't go unnoticed, I suggest we do the following. And again, I'm very open to other approach to it. So the initial plan, as you know, was that you have to sign up 5 either individuals or schools in December to get your base salary to $100 plus obviously commission. And then after that, hopefully you will be more up to speed. And in January and on, it would be 10 or more. I suggest we do the following. So there are several models that people seem to have adopted. So some people say, well, I haven't really started yet. I've been thinking, plus, some paperwork was not ready. So all those brochures and stuff. So only now they became available and it's almost too late. Plus now I'm dealing with my, end of the semester exams, and then I have family events at home. So it looks like I will not be able to do much in December anyway. And so I'll just wait until after the break, and we'll start then full throttle in January. So for people like that, I suggest, I'm happy to offer them the option where we basically delay the start by a month. So in which case, what I mean is that December will become January, or January will become December. So essentially, they don't have to do anything in December. They just relax, wait, or maybe start preparations, but don't do much. And then basically have to do 5 in January, and then February will be 10 and on. Some people say that I already started meeting, talking to schools, and there is a good response, but it looks like they will not be ready until after the break to make the decision. And right. So what we can do with those schools or people, basically retroactive. So if you, started making some investments of time in, meeting with schools, but it will not materialize in some sort of a sign up until January, I'm very, very happy to count that retroactively for you. So let's say if until, let's say, January the 10th or so, like the first week or two of January, there is actually some movements and signups, I'm very happy to count them as December, pay your December base salary, and basically, proceed to January, for the rest of January, you'll do some, sign-ups and basically do the same thing for January as you originally planned. So kind of retroactive counting. Or third, we can even wait until the person just gets 5. And so count that as the first month. And at that time, the person gets the first, base salary and the commission and stuff. And then from that point on, we will count it as the second month. So for some, whoever is more active, it may be, may happen right away. For others, it may take more time. So that's fine too. So ultimately, I think that should kind of, ensure that you will not lose your base salary for the first month, that you don't have to be under the stress, to meet the quota. I don't like it. So I don't like that we are trying to manage it as a business, but as I said, we have to have some sort of a control in place. And so hopefully that would be acceptable. And I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. I'll just give you some numbers and we'll tell you why I'm a little kind of cautious about these things. So there were about 200 people who applied at different times. Of those, there were about 65 whom I liked very much based on the application form. And all of those were invited to basically send a job sample in and participate. Of those who were formally invited and basically guaranteed the placement as long as they tried to do something with the job sample, only 35, I believe, eventually submitted the job samples. So we lost almost half when the time came to do something. Then from the 35 that you are here, some of you are very, very active. Like, for example, in fact, all of you here, Sintima, Rimas, Nora, Estefania, Zhenya, there were 5 or 6 people yesterday who are very, very active, almost to the point that it scares me because, you know, you call me every day and I'm happy about that. It just, you know, where do you get the time to talk to everyone? But a lot of happening, you know, for those 15, 20 people. But there are probably about 15 people whom I haven't really seen. So meaning that, you know, like they never attended the meetings that we have here. They never emailed me. Some of them had the weekly update, but again, not much in that. And some haven't done even that. And so I sort of wonder if, you know, they just got sick or busy or haven't quite started yet, or they lost interest. And so what I mean here is that I would be very happy, you know, when we talk about people who participate all the time and who I know are doing already a lot of work, I'm very happy to offer some sort of, you know, incentives, compensation, even if I don't see those signups. Like, for example, again, the 5 of you here, I know that you already started doing a lot of work. And as I said, you've been bombarding me with updates almost too much. And so even if it doesn't work, I still believe you already done a lot. At least, you know, you told us what may not work. Like, for example, emails. We know that they, you know, not a good way to do it, useful. So it definitely costs, you know, not only your time, but also I'm happy to pay for that knowledge. But at the same time, I don't want to offer, you know, an automatic base salary no matter what, because like at least some of the people who are in the, you know, situation where it may, you know, you understand what I mean. And we even had one situation I'll share with you. So we even had one very strange case, a student who went, I don't know what the word, almost like rogue, I guess. Like all of a sudden he starts posting, first of all, sends me like, you know, 20 messages with, it's not even complaints, it's like irrelevant, like rants, you know, like starts talking about how he had a bad experience in Xculture as a team because his team had some conflicts and, you know, and it was not as smooth. And I'm like, well, first of all, that's the whole purpose of the project, to let you experience that. And second, I mean, how is it relevant here in the context of this new program we are starting? Then he posted a few messages and I deleted them. Sorry, I do have, you know, copies, but I deleted them. So he started posting like literally nasty messages in our closed group and like literally like nasty stuff. And so when I reached out to him asking what's going on, he sent me the contract. Again, I have copies, like the you know, the agreements that you have with like big letters across saying conspiracy. Like, I don't know. So that was a little strange. So as I said, I mean, I'm very open to criticism. And, you know, if you see something's not working, I mean, I'm actually actively seeking out people who have some negative stories so I know about them. But I mean, you sign up to be part of this team and then you send me the contract with the words conspiracy. Like, I don't know, that's a little strange. So anyway, what I mean is that, you know, we have at least initially have some sort of quality controls in place because our resources are extremely limited and it is our responsibility to spend them wisely and not, you know, spend right and left. Likewise, with that same person, again, I don't know like what was the logic, but you know, one of his emails, he said that we are not providing enough resources to do the job. Like, for example, you know, we should provide at least a company car and a company phone. And then, you know, he placed an order for the business cards. And so at the price of $1 per business card. And so I very politely responded and said, I mean, are those some special business cards or the prices are so high, or maybe in your culture you do need to have like super fancy business cards. And then he got upset about that, but, you know, thought that I don't believe him, which again, I don't know, maybe that's the quote he got, but like it doesn't have to cost that much. I'm sure there is a company that can do it cheaper. And like, you know, I don't think I told that to him, but, you know, in my mind, I thought if it really costs $1 per card, you can literally take dollar bills, write your phone number on them and give them out. And so at least in that case, people will definitely remember you and will not throw it away. But in any case, so some things happen that I may need to investigate further, but they make me a little suspicious, you know, or at least not comfortable enough. So that's why I'd like to have some quality controls in place until we establish a core group that we trust and we don't have to deal with all the commissions and stuff. We'll just have, you know, base salary and know that the people will work. But as I said, you know, things happen and, you know, as I said, maybe it's the way things are done in some locations, but you know, as I said, it's a little beyond our budget, at least some of those requests. But anyway, so first, in terms of the compensation, what I offered, would that be reasonable? You know, the opportunity to defer the first month as long as you want, or, you know, at least, you know, within reason, or retroactive counting. If something happens in the early January, we will count that as December, give you full compensation for December, and then proceed with January as if, you know, you had a good month in December. Would that be an acceptable way forward? Do you think there is a,
Yeah.
Somebody says, can I go next? Oh, Nora.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nora, go ahead. Sintim is patiently waiting. Sintim, we didn't forget about you. Can we maybe go first?
Yeah, I switch off the video so the internet connection stays clear. Okay. I think option 3, the compensation option 3 is the best. You said when you
which one is option 3?
The last one you said, as the leads come, when you collect the leads or the
right, yeah.
Yeah. So this is no stress, and at the same time you have to work on it. And of course, as you said, the period is the school's vacation now. So I myself am using this period to prepare all the material, the printed material, and prepare for meetings. As soon as they walk in, second week of January, we'll be visiting schools by then. I just had a question to the other team members who actually went and contacted schools. What was the best way? Was it the pamphlets or the face-to-face or the presentations that you give once you visit the school? Did you prepare a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, or you just printed the pamphlet and gave it to the other teacher and discussed? Can we know which one worked better so when we meet the schools, we know?
I'll tell that from what I've heard from other people, they prepared PowerPoint presentations, but as I said, the turnout, the number of people who actually came was literally 0 in one case, not many in others. So it's not clear on this side. What we should be preparing. Again, it may be different. Yeah, I don't know, from school to school too. So
okay, so from the material that we have on the pamphlet, we can prepare the PowerPoint if need be.
Yeah, well, I even sent you the template for the PowerPoint presentation, including the slides that I personally use when I talk about this project to others. And it's more about the general, not the kind of the academy. Maybe we should actually revise. Let me put that on the list. Maybe I should also prepare a generic presentation for the kind of children's version. And again, you can use my slides and say it in my words, or you can change it whatever you want. You can change the slides, you can change the words and stuff like that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
I would also bring a laptop now. So now that we have the whiteboard animation videos, we have one. I saw the draft of the other one yesterday, so it should be ready probably sometime today. So we have one for the teachers. The one for the parents and students will be ready today or by tomorrow. And then we'll have a separate one for professionals. So hopefully, again, within a day or two. And so depending on whom you talk to, it's nice to change the speaker. So you say a few words, but then you play the video. It's only like 3 minutes, 2.5 even. And people like cartoons. And so it's a nice change.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sintim, why don't you go next? And then I still have 2 very important topics to discuss. So if Aurimas has any updates, then we'll give Aurimas a few minutes. But I think I have something very interesting and would like to hear what you have to say. So please go ahead, Sintim.
Okay. Let me also share my experience. With the age from 9 to 12, it's a bit difficult for me here. Yeah. So I am now concentrating on from 13 to 17. Right. And so far, I have visited 14 schools in total. Most of them wanted a proposal. Some of them also want to study it. And next semester, they will take a decision. Yeah. It was only one school that allowed me to speak to the case en bloc. And I did that. The feedback was very positive. I designed a form where I captured their details, the details of their parents, and therefore they are on vacation now. So I'm using this period to speak to the parents now, because that's what matters now, so that I can get them to enroll. So far, everybody has accepted the product, the program. It's just a matter of time. So that's the strategy now. I'm using this time to convince the parents to enroll. And I think that, in fact, I think I've sent about 4 email addresses, 4 people that I'm asking that we send the application to them so they can do that. They can enroll on it. So that's what I'm doing now.
Very good. Yeah,
I also
thank you.
believe that this is what I'm doing. I believe that the program is fantastic for now. And me as a marketer, I can tell you every new product goes through these stages. And
right.
Even the level of acceptance of F culture is, even for me, it's marvelous. So it's just a matter of time to work.
Right.
All that I think we should also be doing is maybe next vacation we should do some small budget for some marketing activities, because
yes,
the program is great. We just need to create some excitement around the program.
Right.
And that's all that we need to do. So for me, I'm upbeat about this whole program, and I think for me, it's working. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much. Rimas, did you plan to say something, or you'll just listen for now?
Hi guys, I will join later. I will be very brief because I actually got like 7 minutes or something. So I'm still working on that council stuff. I'm talking to some officers in the council members about the education system. And I got the one big project. Actually, I met the guys who has the college program for young entrepreneur or something like that.
Right.
The good news is about the next year, they are going to down those projects into schools, into high schools. So actually we are on the live, and we are now doing some talkings. And as I told you, I would like to hold a Skype call with you. So next week I'm talking to them. So I will be brief, and I will give you a word to you because I have to go like in a few minutes. So
well, before you go, then let me talk very briefly about some interesting ideas that kind of emerged yesterday. Well, before I get into those ideas, one more point that don't forget that we can also recruit individuals. So schools are good, but I think we will have more applications from parents, individual applicants, as opposed to schools. And the reason for that is schools are slow and cumbersome and bureaucratic. And so even if there is interest, it's not always possible or easy for a teacher to enroll a class. Second, we will try probably this week online advertisement. And so we will be doing some centrally and targeting, through Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. But I'm very, very open to, in fact, encourage you to think about advertisement online in your own locations. We can do it either you set up your own account and you do it on your own, and we will compensate, reimburse your expenses, or you design the whole campaign. This is what needs to be said. This is, the audience that we need to target. And then we'll just place those ads from our account, just like you described, because I guess it doesn't really matter where it comes from anyway. So we will try both ways. But here are 2 things that we wanted to discuss, or I wanted to discuss with you based on yesterday's conversation. One, club, not school. Our model so far, we've been thinking about schools signing up for the project either as a school at the school level, or as a teacher who teaches a course that is a suitable course, like let's say geography or English, or maybe like high school economics or business. And the teacher thinks it would be a good idea to add this activity to the course so that the students can participate as basically as the university students do. So for the university students, X-Culture is part of an international business course, for example, and it becomes part of the grade. The challenge with that approach is that school curriculum is not as flexible as the university curriculum. At the university, I, as a teacher, decide how I teach and what I include in my course, and I basically have that freedom, and I don't even need to tell anyone. In some countries, maybe professors do have to get that approved first, but again, it's fairly easy to do so. In the United States, academics, professors have full freedom, and I can change my course whichever way I want, and I don't even have to inform my administration about that. So that works very easy. You convince the teacher adds the project to the school, and basically we do it. In schools, it's different. So teachers have textbooks, teachers have curriculum from the district, from the state, from the federal level, whatever the country's arrangements are, and they cannot just add something to their geography class, for example. They can only do it as an add-on, maybe after school. And so the idea was that maybe we should not push it through school per se, but we should go with a model where schools create clubs for X-Culture. And the idea there is that every school has additional extracurricular clubs. They may have like an orchestra, or they may have a chess club, or they may have a basketball club. And, I use the word club here, as a phenomenon, so it doesn't necessarily have to be called a club. So in some countries, it may be called sections. In some countries, it may be called, groups or activities, or whatever the name could be. But I'm talking here about a kind of non-course entity that is run either by a parent or by a teacher or by a combination of the two. And the training happens after school or in addition to school, even though it happens in the school building. And so in the United States, the way it works, and I kind of suspect it's similar in other countries, the way it works is the following. So the school ends at 2:30 or 3, so it's basically empty for the rest of the day. So some children stay for the after-school activities, but most school kids go home. And so that's when the clubs take over. So the kids stay for basketball practice, the kids stay for aviation club, the kids stay for entrepreneurship club, all kinds of different, clubs. And in order to create one of those, all you have to do is just basically ask the principal. So, for example, in my, where my kids go, recently, about a year ago, they created a chess club. So one of the parents plays, chess. So he's not a Grossmeister, but he's one of those, kind of higher ranked chess players. And he said, I want to organize a chess club. And so all I need for that is basically some time, some space after school, and like $200 to buy like 25 chess boards so the children can play. And so the principal says, sure, and that's what they do. And so for X-Culture, maybe that's what we should kind of promote, so that we offer that, to parents, to teachers, to principals. But in more cases, probably it's going to be a parent. And so the parent would think, okay, I can participate in this activity with my child, but it will be probably more fun for my child if there were other children in the, in the group. Moreover, I know that if I enroll individually, it will cost me, let's say, $195. If there is a group, if there is a class, it will cost much less per child. So maybe I should talk to other parents and see if we can organize like an X-Culture or International Business Club by the school. So the parent goes to the principal, says, I would like to do that. The principal says, oh, sure, that's a good idea. They put ads all around the school asking if any kids want to join or parents want to join. At our school, what they do, they literally send out a newsletter to parents every month. And so it says, okay, a new club has been formed. If you would like to enroll your children, talk to Mr. Such and such and, sign up here. And so, and then children, come and join the club. And so it becomes almost like an additional course, but it doesn't have to be approved by the district because it's only for this school and it's only, an optional extracurricular activity for the children at this school. And so this could be easy to do as long as we have a champion, as long as we have one parent or one teacher who champions the idea, who kind of moves the idea forward. I'm sure the principals will be happy with that. The school has the space. It doesn't have to be limited to one specific course. It can be any child from the school can participate. And in fact, I guess whoever organizes the club will probably be happy to see more children. So if it's a geography teacher who starts it, it doesn't have to be children only in his own geography class. It could be anyone from the school. Maybe even children from other schools can come and join. Why not? I suppose that would be optional or open, possible too. And so it's easy to approve. We have the selection done for us. So unlike in the course where children are, part of the course and must do it, and some of them may not be ready, but they still must do it, and so they will not do it very well, so that their teams will not be happy. If we do it more as a club, so in that case, only those who are interested sign up. And if they are signing up because they're interested, I suppose that means that they will also participate better. And so it will be more people can participate. Those who participate are kind of pre-self-selected, and it would be much, much easier to organize. So that's one idea. And so maybe we should kind of peddle it more as a club as opposed to as a course. And two, maybe we should also try to present it more as a competition as opposed to a course. At this time, we talk about it as the following. We say there is this wonderful project, X-Culture, that is teaching your children, to learn about other cultures and, do business. And so you can pay so much and you can enroll your children and they will receive this wonderful training. And in the end, they will get the certificates. And then as a result, they will gain new knowledge and will have a stronger resume. And when the time comes to apply to colleges, they will do better. This is how much it costs and this is what we require. In that case, it sounds like we are trying to sell them a course. Basically, we're trying to sell them something. And so they are thinking and, trying to weigh if it's worth it, if it's, kind of sounds a little, basically as a sales pitch. If we organize it more as a competition and we say something like this, so we think it will work better if we organize it as a competition, and the pitch may sound completely different then. We would say there is this international competition where children from all around the world take part. And the winners get some sort of prizes, so they will get, the best children will get a certificate which will help them. But maybe members of the best team will be invited to the X-Culture Symposium, which we already do. They will get travel stipends to attend the symposium, which we already do anyway. And I guess in addition, they may get a plaque, like a thing that you can put on the wall, or maybe like some sort of a flag, or and so we basically challenge your school to take part in this competition. If your children take part in this wonderful competition, they will meet people from all around the world. They will learn about, doing business. So they will gain all those wonderful experiences. They will learn a lot. They will get the certificates. They will strengthen their resume, all while competing. And so if your school wins, if, the group from your school has the best, results, you will even get that, memorable plaque that you can put on the wall and, brag and, tell everyone how good you are. And I don't know, maybe even if we go that route, we should offer something like, the best school or the best teacher gets a travel stipend herself to go to the symposium. And so in that case, it will not look like we are trying to sell something. It looks like we are challenging them to, we're informing them about this competition and almost challenging them to participate and see how well they will do. Because in the process, they will learn all that stuff, all the rest of the things that we would say when we sell the product. So this way, you will not have to look like a salesman. You will look more as a person who informs the school about this wonderful international event, Olympics for international business, and the school can take part. Why not? So I don't know, what do you think about those ideas? Clubs, schools, if a parent wants to do it and wants to have more people so they don't have to pay individually, but as a group, we allow them to, basically join as a club and see what happens. What are your thoughts? Arimas, what do you think?
That's actually a good idea, and I see all this project I see from this point, and not from the like an additional suggestion for the schools, even for the individuals. Actually, there's an additional project to participate in, to have some experience in like this, and you can sell a lot of things on that. So actually, I'm in yours in that what you said, and see that all the project from this point, actually. That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah, I guess so. In that case, we may not even go through schools per se. We may have to find an active parent who is willing to kind of bring this idea up with his friends, her friends at school, other parents, get the principal's approval to use the space. And they don't really need that much space. I mean, maybe, they would have like the initial orientation meeting, so where they meet, and tell children a little bit about this competition, about this, project, and then maybe have, once in a while meet and share.
And then actually we can skip the part of the grade, of the mark system, or the grade system, or something. We can just silent about that. That's not about this. It's about your experience, about your entrance to the business, about
Well, we can tell them that we will still monitor the performance because we need to select the winners, and we can tell them that teachers make it part of the course and even give like real grades for that. And if you would like to do that, you will have all the information anyway. But if you just want to make it as a voluntary club for the purpose of gaining experience and winning the competition,
like a gamification.
Right. Yeah. And that is, by the way, the third book. I'll talk about that in a second. Yes, but
okay, guys, I'm sorry, I'm skipping that. Sorry for my short participation today. See you in comments.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, and you'll see the recording later on too.
Yeah, I did yesterday. So actually, I'm on topic. I watched yesterday.
Yeah, so okay, you know what's going on. So any other comments on this idea with the club and the competition as opposed to kind of a course? Do you think that might work? What's your thoughts? Yes, go ahead, Estefania. Your microphone is muted, and I think it wouldn't. Yeah. Good now.
So I think the idea of the club is excellent. It's very good. And as far as the pitch, actually, I'm already doing it that way.
So you're doing that way, yeah.
As a project, I was selling it as a international business competition, because like from before, when I told my friends, "Oh, what's X culture?" So I got used to like telling them it was an international business competition. And then when I went on to like speaking about it to the teachers or the like the contacts or the parents, I would just say international business competition.
Yeah, well, and in fact, it is a business competition, and I guess that's how we present it. It just somehow, with this paradigm, when we deal mainly with the universities, we kind of look at it more as a course add-on as opposed to the competition per se. And so we don't really tout that much, who wins, even though there are always winners, and we play, like you can see who the winners were in every, round, and we will be selecting the winners this semester as well. But we kind of almost like the process more than the outcome. Whereas when it comes to the schools, maybe we should also kind of highlight a little bit more the competitive nature of the project, so that they feel like they're joining a competition and not buying a course. And so in that case, I suppose they will feel better about that, and will also be less reserved when you try to sell the idea to them. And by sell, I mean not for the money, but like you can literally sell it without selling. So you can inform them and get them interested, as opposed to so they will not feel like they bought something. They will feel like they enrolled in a competition. So,
right.
And by the way, again, in the initial rounds, if necessary, again, if it helps you, if they want to participate in the competition but don't want to pay the enrollment fee, I suppose that's fine too. Maybe later on it will be, a hard, participation fee with the participation grant, as we said. So those who cannot pay the full price can pay much, much less. But in the first round, I suppose it's fine, if they show a strong interest and want to try first, I guess it's not a big problem. So we will, enrollment is an enrollment, even if we have to give them free participation. And as I said, for the individuals, I would be a little uncomfortable with that. But if it's an organized club or course or school, something that goes with a person who manages the whole group, I'm happy, if needed, to even give them a free participation pass the first time, just to see, how it goes. And then later on, we'll know better. So don't worry if you have to give them full discount, just so, we can try. Yeah. All right. Any other comments? So we're basically out of time. Yes, go ahead, Estefania.
Sorry, I'm talking so much.
No, that's good. That's usually I'm the one who talks too much. So this time at least somebody's, challenging me to that, title.
So first, I have a question. One of the persons I spoke to, he asked me if the pay would be per course or per grade, because sometimes one grade can have 4 courses.
Right. That's a very good question, and I've always been lenient about that, meaning that you decide what needs to be done. So normally we charge basically per instructor, or even more specifically per list of students, because that's where our marginal cost is. And so in most of the cases, it's very simple. It's one professor, one class, one university. And so there is really no, it's just one. But sometimes we would have either multiple courses that participate from the same university, or there would be multiple professors teaching one course, or there would be one professor who teaches multiple courses. And in all of those cases, I usually kind of go in, in the favor of the teacher. And I say that's fine. As long as it's one group, I don't care how many courses groups are actually within that one group. But we've had different approaches here. So some professors, for example, we have this university from Brazil, FV, there is an abbreviation anyway, one of the apparently biggest and most prestigious universities in Brazil. And so they always have 3 professors. And so they always insist that we give them 3 separate invoices, and they pay 3 times basically, separately for each school. I'm not sure if it's a matter of pride or because they feel that we need those resources and they're trying to support us. And we definitely appreciate that. But sometimes they say, okay, there are 2 courses and we, it's too expensive for us. We can't pay twice. Can we just pay, as for one school? We say that's fine too. So ultimately it's your decision. I guess the incentive you have here is the commission. So if you can convince them to pay separately for each class, that's great, good for us, good for you. And as long as they can afford it, I suppose they will be still happy. But at the same time, if it's needed that they get, one price for the whole whole grade, multiple classes, we are fine with that too. So I wouldn't focus too much on the money and just, see what works best for them and leave that decision up to you because you would know better.
Okay. And then the other two things are just things I want to say. One is I created a database in Access. I sent it to you.
Yes, that is something I did reply to. Yes, that's a genius idea. You probably didn't see my reply. Must have been last night, I guess. I did say that I love the idea. My only concern is Access. I like Access, but not everybody uses it. And I wonder if it's possible to create it in some sort of like Google Docs. They must have a version. So the idea you had was that everybody would have access to that Access, right, database. And
well, you can actually just export it to Excel. So I could just do that, export it to Excel, and then send it in the Excel format.
But did I understand your idea correctly? So I thought the whole point was that it would be shared and online, and people can add their contacts and maybe even keep track of who met with whom at what time, so that first of all others see what others do. But then for us, when the time comes to decide or to figure out who brought whom, we have a record, so we know that Estefania met with whatever the name, and so it's in the database. Was that the purpose, or you meant it just more for yourself to keep track?
No, it's a way to keep track of everything.
Yeah, so I thought in that case, if we can either put it in Dropbox in whatever format, it could be in Microsoft Access, why not? It's usually coming with Office anyway. But if Access is new to people, they don't know how to use it, maybe there is either a Google Docs version of it, or we can literally just use an Excel file. I mean, it may not be as neat and as searchable, but I suppose it shouldn't be. It's still in the end just a table that we need, right? So we can have multiple tabs by person, for example, maybe like a separate page within the file for each of the reds, or we can just simply have a column there and we can sort it by by the name, by by country, by whatever. But I think that's a very good idea, and I did respond to that already.
Okay.
Sorry, can I add something? I think it's a great idea to have one sheet per country. So if we have more than one person in the same country, they would know that so-and-so contacted the school, so I don't go and contact the same school. Right. And also for continuation, if I stop dealing with the country,
exactly.
So when somebody comes to continue, excellent, the database is there. So
exactly. Well, the only thing is, I thought, if needed, we can actually keep it all on one page. So we will just have a column for the country, a column for the representative, and then the contacts of the person that we spoke to, maybe even a column for the outcomes, basically what happened. So in this case, you can still easily sort it by the country, by the person, by the, the contactee, the contactor, and read all the comments. So in that case, it will be like a big, multi-column Excel file. But we can even keep it as simple as that.
Yeah, each one of us would be interested to contact the country or to have a look at the database of the country he's working on. So
exactly. It can be maybe one page in the file would be all your names with the contacts. So let's say you see that, for example, let's say Estefania contacted someone you are interested in. You go to the first page, you see Estefania's contacts, you can call her directly or email her and talk about that. And then the second page could be the actual, log of meetings and contacts and stuff like that. And it could be even a column like, for example, the mode of contact. Like, for example, if it's an email, you put email. If it's in person,
and it's also a way to motivate other team members.
So transparency. You see who does what, and so kind of see how you compare it to others. Would also help me because, as I said, it's a little difficult to keep to evaluate performance of people in the vacuum, like what's good enough. But when you have the record like this for everyone, and you can easily see the volume of work, you sort of kind of see. Again, I don't think direct comparison will be possible because, again, some of you may be in a location where it's easy to you have like 10 schools within 10-minute walking. You can have locations where it's much different. You can have some people who may have full-time school or job and do this more like for fun on the side. So all of those obviously will have to be taken into account. But I suppose it would still be valuable to see, have this transparent record so we see who does what and how people compare. At the very least, to just learn and know how you compare to others.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. Anything else that we need to discuss? Yes, Cintin, please go ahead. I think your microphone is muted, Cintin. Let me see if I can unmute you because sometimes it allows me to do that. Yes, you can talk now.
Hello?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. You said we were going to have a meeting with the Ghana team, but I've not heard anything
That is
about
something I wanted to talk to you separately. Yes, I did schedule a meeting yesterday and nobody showed up. So I did have a doodle poll and there were quite a few people who signed up. And yesterday, the time that was suggested, I think it was 10 a.m., most people were available. And I was sitting for like 10 minutes and nobody showed up. And nobody actually registered.
Now today?
Was that?
Today.
No, it was yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah,
Really?
but my plan is to schedule another one, and maybe even you should suggest the time. So it seems like you are the most active person in Ghana at this time. So maybe as long as the time works for you and me, we can invite the rest of the team to join at that time. And then hopefully there will be at least several of us, so we can, because we need to work out a plan. There are several. So Ghana is represented by the largest team. So only Pakistan also has 3 people, I believe.
Okay.
And every other country, just 1 person, 1 country. So, but for Ghana, it's a huge country, obviously. So there is room for everyone. But at the same time, I wanted to go through some of the things with you guys to make sure that we are all on the same page and we have a plan, so we don't have any surprises later on. So why don't we? So maybe, Cindy, right after this meeting, why don't you send me an email with a suggested time sometime this week? I'm done with my semester, so I can basically, anytime would be fine for me. I can reshuffle my set schedule to make myself available at that time. And I suppose sometime around, like this time would be best. So it's still more in here and it's not too late, I suppose, in Ghana yet. So, and then hopefully the rest of the people will be able to join us, at least, if not all of them, then at least most of them, so we can brainstorm some ideas how to organize your team and then together move forward.
All right, I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? So let's stop here. Even though it kind of seemed like I was complaining that, some of you contact me too often. No. In reality, that's a very good thing. And some of these things is always better to discuss one-on-one. So if you have any other questions, comments, suggestions, concerns, feel free to email me or call me or Skype me anytime, especially now that the semester is over. I have a little bit more time. So we should be able to communicate. And as I said, that's very productive and very useful. And then obviously we'll have another group meeting. We'll see if we need to do one in the middle of the week. Maybe we'll do another one like Friday or Saturday. By that time, hopefully there will be more to discuss. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And stay in touch.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.